I was watching a snippet the other day, right? And I just had to come in here and talk to you guys about this. All the Smoke podcast with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. They dropped a snippet for a interview that they're going to be dropping on December 10th with no other than Paul George, PG-13 of the Los Angeles Clippers. And this man, and I literally listed them out, right? This man was so full of excuses. I'm not the biggest Paul George fan anymore since he left Indiana. You know, I think that he's kind of just like, you know, he's not the kind of, he's a first team all NBA defender, first team all, but he's not first team all accountability. This man got all types of excuses. Didn't get to work out because of the shoulder. Valid, but you know, let's keep it going. Lack of team chemistry, didn't feel part of the team. You know, you probably could have contributed to that. You know, maybe you contributed to the lack of the chemistry. Whatever. Doc wanted to use me as a Ray Allen, JJ Redick on pin downs and stuff like that. I can do it, but that ain't my game.
It's a lie. It's a lie. There's so many lies in that statement. Just look at the stats. I think Kevin Clark from The Ringer put out like the actual stats. No, he didn't. He didn't even do that.
It's so bad.
He just lied. He straight up lied. Oh, he wanted me to do that. Well, you didn't do it, so.
This man said that ain't my game. Damn right, that's not his game. They put the highlight of Ray. I don't know if that was y'all who did that or somebody posted a video where it was like Ray Allen going to the corner to hit the shot, and then they switch it to Paul George hitting the side of the backboard. Yeah,
no, it's not his shot, man.
Not his game, man. And we got 3 more here. Everything felt rushed. He didn't explicitly say that, but he said going into this year it won't be rushed. So I'm guessing he implied that last year was very rushed when everything was all put together. We never worked on adjustments when we went down 3-1 versus Denver or thinking of what to do differently. We just did the same thing over and over. That's definitely true. We saw that on national television.
Yes,
they blew multiple double-digit leads up 3-1. All they had to do was close them out once.
Well, that's a Doc Rivers. That's a Doc Rivers problem. I mean, I don't agree with everything Paul George is saying. The Doc Rivers has not been known for his in-game adjustments, to say the least.
Doc Rivers is the only coach who's lost multiple 3-1 leads as a head coach.
3 of them.
That's bad.
That's Steph Curry, KD, and whoever else blew a 3-1 lead all together, man.
But he's a nice guy, so he gets another job. Yay.
Oh, yeah, and he's in Philly now. And lastly, not enough practices together as a team. I guess that can kind of go into lack of team chemistry, not feeling part of the team. That is a Paul George and Kawhi problem, because these guys, when they came in, a part of their package was, I'll come, but we're going to do it this way. I'm going to come to practice when I feel like it. I'm going to play when I feel like it. Essentially, it worked for Kawhi in Toronto. They won a chip. You know, he got to load manage 25 games out of the 82-game schedule. Obviously helped him. He's still very, brittle, still looking kind of weak and injured at times in the playoffs, Kawhi, but it still worked out for them. But this thing with Paul George, man, I know, Brooks knows me, man. I can come off kind of as a hater sometimes, but this shit is just straight excuses, man. I become less of a fan when I hear him talk. When I hear Paul George talk about Clippers struggles, I want to hear, you know what I personally would love to hear him say? I love to hear him say this. Everything he said, but at least somewhere in there say, you know what? I just got to get back in the gym. I got to go up and put 5,000 jump shots up today. I got to do something because you know what? I didn't play to my standards. I feel like I didn't play as well as I could have, but all we see is a whole bunch of finger pointing. I did not one time, maybe I got to wait for the interview to come out, but in this snippet, I did not hear not one single act of accountability here. Do you guys think that Paul George is lacking that, or do you think that I'm not giving him enough credit?
You want to go first, Brooks?
I said it during the segment when you were running off everything he said was cap. Everything was cap. Listen, and I'm not even gonna run down everything that he said, but I know for a fact, right? George already mentioned it. Paul George was like a super duper pick and roll playmaker guy. Dude was able to basically go downhill whenever he wanted to. To say that Doc Rivers wanted you to be like a JJ Redick, Ray Allen type, no, that's cap. Stop lying on himself. Stop trying to blame Doc Rivers for what happened. He does deserve some. He does deserve some type of blame. But yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Brooks. He might have said it one time at practice by passing, and then like Paul George was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, oh, you should play like Ray Allen. And then he's like, oh, he wants me to play like Ray Allen. And like who knows, right? I mean, God, continue. Sorry,
it's all bad. And then the fact that he was talking about, oh yeah, we didn't have enough chemistry, we didn't have enough practices. Dude, Kawhi Leonard had the privilege enough to say, oh yeah, I want to come in from San Diego, and you know, I want all these special type of privileges, like being able to go into games and come out whenever he wants to, do this and the third. The dude is acting like a big diva, like he was LeBron James before he was even LeBron James. And I like Kawhi Leonard. I like how he plays, but he's not at that level yet, despite having 2 Finals MVPs, despite being he's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, the guy isn't up there yet. All-star special players deserve some type of privileges, but not that type when you just coming into a team, when you're trying to become the leader, but then you're alienating everybody else in that locker room. I was reading something from The Athletic earlier, you know, that super scrappy team from the year before with Pat Bev, Lou Williams, Trez, they were all offended in a way that Kawhi Leonard is getting all these things, in addition to Paul George getting these special treatments, and Paul George doesn't even deserve these things yet. You can give it to Kawhi because Kawhi is Finals MVP. Paul George hasn't done anything in the playoffs. So he definitely contributed to that. He definitely contributed to the fact that they had bad practices. They weren't able to have chemistry. I think the fact that they didn't even want to be in the bubble in the first place, and they're one of two teams that wanted to leave during the wildcat strike, that tells a whole lot too, because they didn't want to be there in the first place. So to blame everybody else except for me, except for yourself, is just bad. It's bad. No type of accountability at all. First team, not accountability. Pedro, I agree with your point, bro. It's ridiculous.
I like that. First team, no accountability, and I couldn't agree more with you fellas. Like, come on, Paul George. I mean, who are you lying to? Like, do you think anyone watched that clip in this country other than Paul George's mom, maybe his wife or his fiance now, and it was like, man, Paul George made some really good points there. Like, no, everyone watched that and was like, what the fuck?
Like, Clipper Nation, maybe.
Yeah, even Clipper Nation probably was like, dude, come on, man. You shot what did you shoot? Like 3 for 15 in game 6? Like,
embarrassing.
Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta understand, like, you gotta read the room at some point, right? Even if you believed all these things, even if you thought all these things, at some point when you're talking, like, you can't spit all this bullshit out of your mouth and hope everyone believes you, because, I mean, I think the common NBA fan, the common person on Twitter, the common sports watcher now is a lot more, I guess, educated than they were before. So if you come out with all these excuses, people are going to pull up stats that are like, nah, that didn't happen. Oh, yeah. Oh, the chemistry? Yeah, you guys decided you would only play when you wanted to play. Oh, we didn't practice enough? Yeah, the whole league didn't practice enough because there's a global pandemic. So, like,
exactly, dude, the internet is great, man. They will call you out on your bullshit, which is exactly what we're doing right now, dude. The fact that this man, Paul George, got on this interview and said all this stuff, it's even crazier to think that he had time to think it through. He had his agent call up, or maybe he called up Stack and Matt Barnes and said, you know, he had time to think all this through and still came out there and had absolutely no accountability whatsoever. And you know, you see him come out in the post game pressers with the ginormous bags of ice on his shoulder, like, you know. When he got the bad game, he pulls out the bag of ice. When he got the good game, he is flexing like the best outfit. You know what I mean? I've seen Paul George take credit, but I am yet to see this man take any type of blame, any type of flack for anything. You know, in Indiana, he didn't catch any flack. In OKC, you know, or catch flack. Of course he did, but I've never seen this man hold himself accountable like other great players had. LeBron James has held himself accountable. You've seen fucking Michael Jordan, D Wade, whatever, a bunch of great players, Allen Iverson, you name it, Kobe Bryant. We've seen these guys hold themselves accountable, and you know what happens? You become better from that. You know, me and Brooks say it all the time. You shouldn't look at it as a loss, look at it as a lesson. But
Absolutely.
Paul George is not learning no type of lessons here. So how can you become better? You know what I mean?
You can't.
Paul George just needs a big old tweet quoted to him, a quote tweet saying, "This you," with this video for him to see, for the athletic, for that type of stuff for him to see, ESPN. No, this guy. We need like that. You know that SpongeBob meme too, where they're just like, "How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?" Yeah, we need that to happen as well.
And you know who else didn't buy his bullshit? The guys at All the Smoke podcast. For them to put out that clip out of the whole interview as the preview clip, that means the producers were like, "Oh my God."
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. They're like, "Oh man, this guy's so full of bullshit." I guarantee he never goes back on that podcast again.
Yo, that's funny as shit that you mentioned that. You know, I was actually thinking when I watched that, I'm like, yo, they're soft on this guy. Like, usually Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, like, they'll press some of their guests sometimes, you know, but I did not feel like they pressed Paul George as much as I thought they would. You know what I mean? I thought they'd be like,
he made his own grave. He was digging it for them. They're like, "What did you say? Oh, what about Doc? Oh, let me dig it a little deeper." That was a PR disaster, to be honest.
That is hilarious, man. But we'll see what happens with Paul George, man. I guess before we move on to our last topic here, I want to ask you guys, I'll start with Brooks on this. Do you think that we're going to see a different Paul George or a different Clippers team next year, or is it going to be more of the same?
I definitely think we're going to see a different Clippers team, especially with Ty Lue being there and him arguably being a better ego coach than Doc Rivers is, right? Because he was able to get a ring out of Kyrie and LeBron.
True that.
So you know he's got some type of success. He was able to go to 3 finals. So you know you can mesh some things together.